Playing the Radical Latino Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands in the air for New York's very own.
Radical
Latino is taking you to another level.
What up, my people? Welcome back to another episode of the Radical Latino Show. It's your host, the Radical Latino, A.K.A. Mr. Number 25 on all Latin podcasts, A.K.A. Mr. Unsuable for the 7th week running. What is going on with y'all? I hope everybody is having a great week. I hope everybody's staying safe. Nobody's contracting no diseases or whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying? Hope everybody's doing well and living safe and all that. I know there's a lot of places that are opening up still. Other places that are still shut down in New York. A couple of zip codes, I think was it 9 zip codes got shut down in Queens and Brooklyn. I would have thought the Bronx would have got shut down, but no. It was Queens and Brooklyn. So I want to give a shout out to all of y'all. Also a huge shout out to all the new listeners listening to the podcast. Shout out to y'all. You know, I want y'all, to be, to be known or whatever the case is. So shout out to y'all. How are y'all liking it? Let me know. You know what I'm saying? Let me know on my Instagram or Twitter. Radical _Latino_. Now I want to give a huge happy Indigenous Day because I'm recording this on Monday. Happy Indigenous Day. It's I'm glad that we actually are taking steps into liberating our conditioning from white supremacy by calling certain things or what they are. Not even certain things, but things in general for what they are. You know what I mean? We should have never called it Columbus Day. That's just a reminder for white supremacists, to be emboldened, and also a reminder for us on what happened to our people. You know what I mean? It's a constant reminder of negativity, is a constant reminder of enslavement, is a constant reminder of what our ancestors endured, and that's not something to be celebrated. And I'm glad that we're taking that back by calling it Indigenous Day. So I'm super happy on that fact. Also, I was part of 2 live streams today. This week, 2 live streams. Truth Teachers live stream, which was actually really cool and beneficial. So you guys could go check that out on Truth Teachers, channel. Go check that out. It was me, A.K.A, and I think both of Truth Teachers' cousins, I believe. I might be wrong. I'm sorry if I did get that wrong, but. We had a great conversation about, first generation people, immigrant people of first generation descent here in America, and how identity is shaped and stuff. So we had a great conversation. Definitely go check that out. I really recommend it. I'll definitely put it on my community page. And also there was another stream. It didn't go as long as I thought it was gonna go, but A.K.A had a talking about being part of a stream. A.K.A was part of her stream also, which went 5 hours, so half a marathon, I guess. It went 5 hours, and it was very educational and eye-opening. A lot of things were talked about, a lot of things were said. So, shout out to A.K.A, in all her 10-hour glory. You know what I mean? I want to give a update to the Colombian girl update thing. I'm just gonna give an update on what I did the video, why I did the video. I told on Xtina's channel, I said why I made that type of video. But I'm gonna say it here. The reason why I made that type of video is because, and the reason why I took the stance that I took was because these people, these collaborators, these detractors, Latin coons, they're against Black and Latin unity. They're totally against that. So in order to, throw shit in my face, they'll find articles of Black folks, committing crime or victimizing Latin people. It doesn't really matter what it is. They'll just find articles and they'll run with it, right? Like I cannot find articles, that show Latin people victimizing Black people, right? It goes both ways, it happens, right? So they like to do that and shove it in my face, right? The thing is that I found literally one thing in one of the articles that they spoke about the Colombian woman, that she migrated from Spain with her parents. So I took that and flipped it into, she's a Spaniard, she isn't part of our issue, not part of our problem, so I could care less. That's white people's issue. And everybody went fucking insane. Everybody went insane, and I did that shit on purpose. Because not only did I change the conversation about Black and Latin, not only did I change it, but I changed the conversation to what means to be Latin, and you saw people's agendas come out, like Rancho, Hanciel, Taco, and all these other little people. You see their agendas come out. What do you mean she's not Latina? Because she's Spaniard? Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. She's Spaniard. Yeah, she's not Latina. And they try to make it into like, because she's light skinned. No, it's because she's Spaniard. That doesn't make her Latina. You know what I'm saying? Their agenda started to come out. If they aren't romanticizing Spain, then this wouldn't be an issue. You know what I mean? But of course it's an issue because they feel like they're being attacked, So I changed it on purpose. And on that stream, I'll let them know exactly why I did what I did and how I did it and how easy it was to change the narrative. And that's the thing. Whenever you are talking to trolls or dealing with trolls or people with fucked up agendas, learn what their agenda is and use it against them. It's very easy. Didn't take it. I literally changed the whole conversation with one fucking tweet. Everybody got fucking pissed. Because if we really want to keep it real, the Black guy, right? He's Black, right? Don't we got a little Black in us? So that makes sense. So that means with that logic, he's Latin also, right? You see how that doesn't make any type of sense? You know what I mean? You see how that doesn't make any type of sense? But anyway, moving on to something else. I got a retraction that I have to put out because I actually put this on the video of Antonio's police record, right? So I put out a video recently of Antonio's nephew speaking out on his uncle's racism, right? And because Antonio decided to dox his nephew, so I decided to call his nephew up and say, hey, you want to have an interview? And that interview was revealing in so many ways. That interview basically, said everything that happened to Andy, as a younger kid. That said everything. It basically said everything, because it showed that Andy comes from a broken place, a broken family. So he needs a sense of belonging. He needs a sense of reassurance. And I think that's the common trope for these racist people, or these suspected racist people. I think that's the commonality of it, because these people come from broken areas, either in their home or, you know, psychologically, or whatever the case is. It was very eye-opening. But the retraction that I gotta do, and the reason why I'm doing retraction, is because I like to keep it fair and keep it honest. I made a video talking about exposing Antonio Batista's jail record, and I got this information from somebody that was close to him, and he was my spy. He was the one feeding me information. When he sent me this, I double checked it, and I saw Antonio Batista's name all over the place, right? Antonio Batista. In this interview, it was revealed that his name is not Antonio. His name is Andy Batista. Andy. So, because of that, I saw the wrong paperwork. I was seeing the paperwork of somebody else that had nothing to do with Andy. You know what I'm saying? So I have to make a retraction. Good thing in that video, I said, this is his jail record allegedly. Allegedly, this is what it is. So good thing I said that. So that did cover my ass a little bit, but still I have to make a retraction. So this is what what I'm saying now, this is the retraction now. I want to keep it fair, and I want to keep it, fair to everybody. All right. So I got the wrong information. I should have waited, or whatever the case is, but all the information I was getting from his number to his address, everything linked up to the same name, Antonio Batista. Everything linked up to that. But now, knowing that his real name is Andy Batista, now it makes a lot more sense. And I want to just give a retraction and an apology, because the last thing I need is to dismiss or mislead anybody that listens to me. You know what I'm saying? So I want to just say that off the cuff. Another thing is, a college reached out to me. I already did a speak, like a small lecture on the college. I'm trying to see if I could get the video format for it so I could upload it and you guys can see it. If not, then that's their rights not to give it. It's all good. But certain colleges are reaching out to me. This is my second speaking lecture that I did about Latin identity here in the United States. So shout out to those colleges. Also, I'm planning on doing the live stream maybe on Latin identity, or what we should identify, and if we should identify with something, what it should be called. I have that already. I'm thinking about it. I'm not too sure. I might do it, but just I want to just give you guys a just let you guys know it might happen. Also, I uploaded a photo of myself on Instagram. For those who aren't following me on Instagram, is radical_Latino_. That's the same username for Twitter, so it's both ways, right? So I uploaded a photo of myself wearing a Hulk mask on Instagram, and everybody have fucking jokes. You motherfuckers. Everybody have fucking jokes for days. Oh, why is your head too small for your body? Somebody said I look like the Michelin Man. Somebody else kept on saying I was fat. I'm not fucking fat. What the fuck? Somebody else said that I was photoshopping the photo. I'm like, no, this is a legit photo. I didn't photoshop shit. Some of these people didn't believe it was me. I got some encouraging comments, but a lot of there was one that said, if your body looks like that, no wonder you're hiding your face. Like, what the fuck, guys? What? I kept on getting a lot of actually DMs of just jokes. Why is your head small for your body? Like, dude, are you guys serious? I'm like, god damn, you guys are assholes. I felt like deleting this shit, but it was too funny. So I'm like, you know what? Nah, I'm just leaving it out there. You guys are assholes. All right. So I didn't know, me being a little ass, trolling people here and there, and I was gonna get the same thing in return. I didn't know that was the case, but that was actually really funny, to be honest with you. And I think somebody said it was gonna Photoshop it or whatever the case is to make me like 600 pounds with like McDonald's burgers and shit around it. If you do, just send it to me. I'll post it. You know, I'll definitely post it up. Anyway, let me go to the comments for last week's episode. Remember, guys, if you want your comments read, on this episode, go down below on YouTube, go to the comment section and write your comments down. All right, if you want your comments read. So Godzilla says the problem is that white supremacy is not well defined. Black Americans, some believe white and white supremacy, which could hold themselves back, holding themselves of getting knowledge and working together. And I believe that he's obviously he wrote a long comment, but I'm just gonna read part of it. Yeah, he's right. You know, a lot of people don't know what the definition of white supremacy is. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know. Rio Gotti says, good show, bro. Shout out to you, man. Thanks. Mr. Know-It-All says, how is a Puerto Rican girl anti-black if she is Afro-Caribbean black woman? Her point was if you say you are a king or queen, then act like it and stop playing the victim card. They're referring to the whole Tariq Nasheed and Janicia debate or whatever the case is. The thing is, she is anti-black because she was talking about stop worrying about racism. Y'all too sensitive about racism, which shouldn't be the case and shouldn't be the conversation. You know, that's the wrong way of going about it. 100% wrong, the wrong way. Regardless of whoever calls himself queen, professor, alien, pharaoh, no matter what label you give yourself, you're still going to be a victim of white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? The system is still here, you know, until we dismantle that system. All those names that you give yourself is not going to protect you. You know what I'm saying? So she is anti-black. I still stand by that. Decolonize Alexis 94 says, I'm so glad that I checked Native American on the US Census 2020, like for real. For tribe, I put Mexica, Aztec, and Nahua. Wow, okay, cool. Shout out to you. Yeah, you know your history, Decolonize Alexis 94. You know your history. Shout out to you. Blah blah blah. Johnny Mills says, I'll give you another example. Look at the interracial movies and TV shows. It's always involved with a white person. Yeah, that's true. Queen Califia says, I totally agree with you, brother. We are living in interesting times where the truth can no longer be hidden. The world is going to soon know that Jesus was black and that we are the real true people of the Bible simply because the descriptions fits. Nobody else came in slave ships to America like we did. 100% true. Shout out to Queen Califia. 100% true. Moist Picard said Dominican Renaissance hates being black and African and wants to be pure white particularly. He is beyond so pathetic and denies anything black and African and does not want any Dominican to even be perceived as black or African. Yeah, the thing is, Dominican Renaissance, he does have his reasonings for it, and I think his reasoning is a little misguided. But again, I chalk everything up to you know, his age. He's misinformed. I believe he spends too much time playing video games and on Reddit to actually understand the proper dynamics of what's really going on here, you know. But it is what it is. So those are the comments right there. If you want your comments read, like I said, go to this episode on YouTube. Down below at the comments, write your comments and I'll read it for next week. All right, now let me just move on without further ado. Paola, she is a beautiful, intelligent Afro-Latina, or should I say sister. She's one of our Latin sisters, you know what I'm saying? Who I got introduced to one of Christina's chaotic marathon streams. I loved her delivery, her message, and she came with a sense of enlightenment that is pretty much ignored, misplaced, or just missed from a lot of people. And if you aren't in this movement of enlightenment, you would just completely miss it. You know what I mean? I like how she approached certain questions, and she was giving relevant information, even though the agent of chaos, which is Rancho, in that opinion, and I'm not talking bad about him. I'm just keeping it real. He was, at that point in time, he was an agent of chaos. Rancho wasn't letting our sister speak, wasn't letting her get her shit off, because she was really spitting some real facts. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, however you feel about it, regardless how emotional you get, you can't hide the truth. You know what I mean? You can't hide the truth. So I reached out to Paola, and she agreed to do this. She also has a YouTube and Instagram. The links for those two down below in the description. Also for the podcast, go to the details section of the podcast, and you'll definitely go and see it, check it out, and stuff like that. All right. Without further ado, this is the interview with me and Paola. Enjoy. Yo, what up, my people? Welcome back to another episode of the Radical Latino Show. So today, first of all, I always bring you guys special guests, and I always do. So today is not different. So right now, I have Paola, and she has a YouTube channel called Afro-Latinx, and I want to bring her here, especially because we had a wonderful live stream a couple of weeks ago. And I wanted her to come and bring in her special and her professional perspective, So Paola, what's going on? How you been?
I'm good, chilling. Had a long week. I'm just relaxing this weekend, and I'm very excited to be here, having this discussion with you. So
that's what's up. Thank you. Listen, I really appreciate it as well. So, for those who don't know, Paola was part of the mess of a live stream, the marathon 10-hour long live stream, and not only did it test people's history knowledge, but it also tested our mental, capacity, because I think certain people got into the live stream already mentally a little mentally flawed, So yes. That's how I got introduced to Paola, and she was actually saying a lot of things that was something that I was actually like. She was basically hitting, and I was like, "Yo, I'm really liking what she's saying." A lot of people in that stream, you guys could probably go back, because I'm telling you right now, a lot of people are still going through it, commenting or whatever. If you guys see it, a certain percentage of the people there were against what she was saying, not what she was saying, but the words that she was using and all that. It was kind of like triggering for some reason. Like, oh my God. Like, anyway, so I brought her here, and I want her to basically, just tell us everything about, everything, and we'll just go from there. So, Paola, in that interview, you say that you were Dominican, correct?
Correct.
All right. So, how long you been Dominican? No, let me stop. So, and also, you had a couple of master's degrees or something like that, right?
So, yeah, I have 2 degrees. I have a bachelor's to teach Spanish, and I have a master's in educational psychology. But I just want to make a note that I feel like I don't want people to think that just because I have 2 degrees, like that makes me any better or any smarter than anybody, because I want to point out that I was educated by a system in America created by white supremacy, and I recognize all that. But just because I was educated in this system doesn't make me smarter than anybody else.
At this moment, you are. No, let me no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I feel like I've also taken like initiative to like learn other things besides, the things that school just teaches you. And I don't want people to like feel like that makes me any better than them. You know what I mean?
That's actually absolutely true.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you said that, because usually a lot of people use that paper as a way to trump somebody else, like you know what I mean? And it's like, relax, calm down, not that serious.
No, it's true. It's true. And in this economy, like, you can't be like, oh, you that's the best thing in the world, because there's so many people out here that are making money and they don't have no degrees. So I just want people to know that I'm not better than them just because of that. So
that's true. Thank you. See, she's so humble. Look at that. So tell us, were you born here or in Dominican Republic?
So I was born here in New York City, Harlem. I don't know if you're familiar with New York City.
No. I live here. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Wait. Harlem or Spanish Harlem?
Harlem. I lived right by Riverside Park. I don't know if you know that park.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
like right in front of it, by City College. That's where I
got
grew up.
it. That's 130 something street, right?
So I mean, to me, growing up, that was a very Hispanic area. Like, it was very Hispanic. There was probably like a couple of like African Americans like in my area, and now it's more gentrified. So yeah.
Gotcha. And what was it? So growing up, you basically, something I've always said, that growing up in New York City, there are some small pockets, but usually we're all, together, Black and Latin people, we're all growing up together in the same place. If it's not in the same places, in the same schools or in the same jobs, we're all intermingled. And pretty much what you're just saying, you kind of attested to that.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I went to a Catholic school by my area, and it was predominantly Hispanic, but also African American children or Black children from America. So yeah, it was definitely a lot of like, we were just all together, That's
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what made you want to take the type of career path that you chose?
I feel like I had a couple of really good teachers when I was young that really, I guess, inspired me to want to be a good teacher for other children. I knew from a very, very young time, like a very young age, that I wanted to be an educator. And I think it was because I had some good teachers growing up who were teachers of color, so that looked like me. And I think that helped me choose a career that I decided to choose.
What are your thoughts on the whole funneling Black and Latin kids into special ed without any credibility? Because I've seen it growing up. I've seen it happen. I even spoken to certain people who that happened to, and it took them. They had to go through a lot of red tape just to get out of there, because they felt like they were being miseducated. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that it's very true. And I think that the reason why it's happening is because most of our teachers, like about 80% of our teachers in America, are white. And I just feel like there needs to be a lot of training for white teachers, because they just don't understand our children. Right. I think they have this perception that our children, and not all of them, I'm not saying that all of them have that perception, but a lot of them do. And that's why you see a over like representation of, I call them BIPOC, so Black, Indigenous, people of color, in, being recommended or in like special needs programs. But I think it's because of that. In my school in particular, and I'm not gonna even name it because I don't want to be like a
don't name it.
person for it. But In my school, we're doing like a really, I think, a good job at looking at the data, and in terms of like how many kids are we really recommending to this program, right? Is this really valid? Is it the teacher or is it really the student, right? And not all schools are doing that, but my school is unique. I feel like we're taking our teaching
Yeah.
philosophy is very social justice based, so I'm happy
Oh, that's
about that.
good. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, because the certain people that I've interacted with, they told me stuff like, "Oh, I was sent there because I had an attitude problem." I'm like, "What?" I was sent there because I couldn't get the curriculum, and I'm like, what kind of curriculum was it? It was I don't know, algebra, and that was weird to me. What? Because of that? So before that you were all good, but now, you know what I mean? And it was a whole slew of reasonings. Like I'm glad that you said that the majority of teachers are white. I was gonna ask you, what is your thought on these white teachers and professors unable to pick up racism? Or I'm not going to even say pick up, because I feel like they do, but they allow it. What are your thoughts on them allowing certain instances of racism in their classroom?
I think that they allow it. They do allow it, right? It does happen, because if it didn't
Yeah,
happen, you wouldn't see all these children,
yeah,
that are disenfranchised in the education system here
yeah,
in America.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and I think that it's very detrimental for our children, for their mental health, for them to even get out of this like system, this circular system that doesn't allow them to like be free in America. um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think part of it is just lack of awareness from white teachers or white administrators. They just don't know. Some of them, you know, some of them will be okay with calling out their racism, or because to me, if you're sending a kid out because they have an attitude, um, and recommending them for special needs program because they have an attitude,
Yeah, that's crazy.
to me that shows the
Yeah.
privilege that you have, first of all, as a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
as being white, for you to make that big decision. Like,
Yeah, life-changing decision.
yeah, like
Life-changing decision. Be-
instead, hold up, instead of trying to figure out why that child is feeling that kind of way, did you do something to make them feel that way? Is
Mm,
something in your curriculum or your whatever you're teaching, giving them an attitude because they don't understand how you're saying it? Like, we're
mm,
not perfect, and we need to,
mm.
we need to humble ourselves as
Yeah,
educators. So
yeah. No, because the thing is that I found that some of these people, even when they grow up with this label, this mental label saying, "Oh, I'm not good enough," "I'm slow," or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? And
mhm.
I'm like, oh man, even though you were purposely funneled in and miseducated, you're still, walking around with this type of label. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's insane, but it's funny because when in high school, I'll even say environmental studies. I went to the one environmental studies in 59th Street or something, but in
Mhm.
Manhattan. So that was the first school I ever got out of the Bronx. I'm like, oh my god, there's more to the world. So the first time I went to the other side, all I saw were black and Latin kids. I only saw two white people, and they really needed some help. Like, one of them was in a wheelchair, the other one, was in a helmet and all that. But everybody else, I was like, why the hell are they here? You know what I'm saying? It was really eye-opening for me. Very eye-opening, where I was like, okay, something is going on. You know what I mean? But I couldn't pinpoint it.
You were asking why were the two white disabled kids there, or why were like why
No,
was it
why?
just Hispanic and black?
Yeah, why Latin and black
Black.
there? And the only people that I did see that needed help were the two disabled white kids. And it, to me, years later, I was like, wait a minute. So when you're white and you can't find an excuse anymore, they're gonna send you there, But Black and Latin, oh, you got a little bit of an attitude. You just ignored one of my commands straight to, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It was really eye opening. You got any thoughts on that?
Well, I went to. I feel like I have like a similar experience. I went to Manhattan Center. It's on the It was on the east side of obviously Manhattan. But same thing, like my whole school was all like Hispanic and Black kids. I mean, I'm sorry, Latino and Black kids. And we had like Middle Eastern kids there as well. And we had two white kids. So yeah.
Yeah.
And I grew up and I'm like, I just remember like learning like about like, oh yeah, we're desegregated. I'm like, wait, we're desegregated, but why all the people of color, why all the BIPOC people together? Why they no white people here?
Yeah. I think we have, there's certain things of segregation even to this day that even we do, like in church.
Mm-hmm.
Church is like very segregated. There's a white church, there's a Black church, there's a Latino church. You know what I'm saying? Very, very extremely segregated. And I always wonder, I was like, well, if God is the one that you guys like, mind you, I'm not religious. I believe in a higher power. I'm spiritual. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm spiritual, but like if y'all all believe in God and the same God, why don't you just stay in one church? You know what I'm saying? And I see that just those small instances of self-segregation kind of tells you a lot, It tells you a lot where you're like, whoa, any thoughts on that?
Well, no, I definitely agree. I feel like there is a lot of self-segregation in the city, in New York City, geographically speaking. However, I do feel like our generation, I mean, I'm thinking that you're in my generation. I'm a millennial.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm 32. So yeah.
And I'm 30. So
okay. Oh, shout out to you. You didn't even look at yo. That's crazy.
Thank you. But I feel like our generation is changing, and I would like to hope that most of us think about unity in terms of like, I want to be around my African American counterparts and my non-racist white counterparts.
Yeah.
And Asian people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind being around different people. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I definitely love going to a Latino party and dancing my ass off.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Of course.
But I enjoy people, you know what I mean? If you're cool, if you're not racist, right?
Then we're all good.
Then I'm good.
Yeah, then we're all good. What are your thoughts on this whole narrative of the left is too much? The cancel culture, the left. Oh my God, the left. What is your thoughts on that? Do you think I'll just label it social justice warrior-y? I'm gonna just say that. Do you think it's a little bit too much? It goes a little too far, or you think it's the right amount?
Well, I don't think cancel culture is good, because I feel like cancel culture doesn't allow people to recognize what they've done wrong.
No, cancel them. No. Let me say, no, go ahead.
And I guess like do better and stuff like that. However, I feel like there's a limit to like how much I'm gonna take from your stupidity. Like, if you're just gonna continue to be racist and like just mean and disrespectful towards people that are not like you, then I don't care who you are, what color you are. Like, I just don't want to be around you. Like, and that's after like a tons of cycles of just ignorance. I mean, and that's excluding my family, because my family's my family, even though there might be like,
hints of a prejudice. Or
whatever, I'm always gonna work with my family. But if you're not, I guess, in my family, there's a level to like how much I'm gonna allow it. But I do think that we need to be social justice warriors, because it's not just African American Blacks who are going through injustices, right? It's also Latinos, and it's also Asian Americans, right? It's also
Yeah.
immigrants. Like, it's
Yeah.
not just, this is not just their fight.
Even certain white people, believe it or not,
Yes.
certain white, even though we talk about white supremacy, because we're not talking about all white people, but let's be real, certain white folks go through the same shit. You know what I'm saying? It's really hard to like pinpoint, but it does happen.
Well, I think that this is white people's problems too. And I don't think they go through like this big discrimination, unless like they're poor, right? Because
Right.
there's a discrimination tied to being poor,
right.
right? Or if you're like gay and white and poor, like,
No.
so
I think their thing is like class, you know?
yes, and it is their fight, because at the end of the day, right, there's only a couple people at the top of this country, and most of them, like,
Yeah.
literally, I'm gonna say all of them are white,
Mhm.
and they don't care about anybody. They don't care about they don't care
Yeah,
about the poor whites.
that's true.
They don't care about this race stuff that like people are going through right now. This is exactly what they want us to be doing. They
Yeah.
want us to be fighting with one another, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's what they want. They don't care about anybody down here. So
Mm.
it is white people, poor white people and middle class white people. It is their
Yeah.
problem too. But sometimes it's hard for them. Sometimes it's hard for some of them to see it, right?
Yeah, because they still have that overarching a view of white supremacy. You know what I mean? Even though they're dirt poor with headlights, missing teeth. You know what I mean? They're like, I'm still better than you. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, all right, calm down, Chad. Relax, relax. Yeah, I do feel like this whole cancel culture goes a little too far. Canceling people left and right, like, you're canceled, it's over. You know what I mean? It's a little bit too much. Do you think before canceling somebody, they should at least have the opportunity to educate their ignorance, or what?
I think that there needs to be first, like, you need to recognize where you went wrong. And then it needs to be followed with education. But it has to come from the person. Like if somebody calls you out on something and then like you're like, okay, that was messed up. And then you go and you educate yourself.
Yeah.
Like, okay. But if you're like, no, I don't care, you're just gonna keep doing it, then
yeah. It's funny that you say that, because I was part of this, like, I think, was it college lecture talk or whatever, some college, I don't want to say the name because I got some haters that probably emailed them. I can't believe you actually had him on. So some college reached out, and I did a 40-minute, just a lecture engagement or whatever, and it was basically revolving around white supremacy, Latin identity, and just talking about that, right? So I just, went off on my rant, and then after I was getting some questions, saying, I'm gonna say there were like 5 white people in that Zoom meeting. Mind you, this is like through Zoom, because obviously we can't open. So there was like 4 white people there, and 3 of them were getting all mad. They were like, when you say white supremacy, I'm like, whoa, I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you. Like, what about it did you disagree about? What about it? That word makes you, like, I'm gonna just say, triggered.
yeah.
And she like couldn't really, correlate her feelings together, but she said just the word itself made her feel some type of way. I'm like, well, that's something with you then. It has nothing to do with me. It told me that just that word alone, there's something in that she hears, that she's like, okay, this is attacking me personally, because I believe just that word alone, she recognizes some of the things that she is doing.
Yep.
And because she doesn't want to recognize it, she goes out and lashes out and going like, don't you know what I mean?
That's that white guilt.
Yeah.
That's that white guilt. It's like,
Yeah.
you can't own up to your mistakes. I know sometimes it's hard to own up to your mistakes, but we're all human.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, get over it.
Facts.
We're not
Facts.
all perfect.
Facts. Facts. It was really eye opening, really funny. I'm like, so it didn't even go into a whole question, just turned into like a little small mini little debate between me and the three white people. So when you say white supremacy, are you saying, I'm like, no, I'm not saying all white folks. I never said that. I
But
never said that.
clearly,
Yeah,
you're guilty.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So since okay, so one of your degrees is psychology, you said, right?
Educational psychology.
Educational psychology.
Mhm.
What is your thoughts on that whole stream that happened on the level of not, I'm not even going to say that because it was very disrespectful, but on the level of twisting history to fit someone's narrative? What was your basically assessment on that?
Well, I just feel like, I think, and you even said it too, like it was an romanticizing European history and our colonizers. That's it. Like, I just feel like he was putting our Spanish ancestry and history at the forefront of what was going to unite our community. And my whole point is, like, if you really want to unite the Latino community or the Hispanic community, you cannot start with our colonizers at the forefront, because there's so many people in our countries right now, in our home countries, and here in America, that are being discriminated against.
Yeah.
Okay. And you can look
Yeah.
around the world. This is just not here in
Yeah.
America. So I just think that if you really want to unite us, you need to put our Afro and indigenous roots at the forefront of this battle,
Uh-huh.
because that is what's really going to unite us.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like ultimately that is what has kept us strong, alive, hopeful, is their
Yeah.
willingness to fight through whatever they went through, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which makes it possible for us to be here now.
100% true. Yeah.
So I I just feel like what he's doing is literally what America has done to children here.
Yeah. It's like, I
Right?
feel like it's a disservice to our history.
Yes.
I feel like it's a blatant disrespect and spit on the face of our ancestors who fought for independence and fought for us, like you said, like us to even be here, our parents to even exist and
Hmm.
get over here. It's I because like I said, it was a romanticization. He never said anything else about indigenous people. He never said anything else about the African people. And mind you, these people did plenty of beautiful things during colonization to better the lives of people.
And he only used their stories so that it can fit his agenda. So, like, when he was talking about the
Mm.
Indian lady who was,
Married.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know her name, but I'm like, oh, so this is when you want to bring in their
Well,
story.
yeah, he was I believe he was just cherry picking some incidences. Like,
Hmm.
let me just make this straight. 100% of the Spaniards were not colonizers or were not bad.
Hmm.
You actually had some few, and I say few, that were really good and that weren't with the BS. They weren't with the whole enslavement thing. Yes, they did marry African indigenous people, mestizo people. Yes, I understand that. But the way he makes it seem like the whole Spaniards were doing that and everybody else was great and it was a kumbaya, and the only thing that we're doing is pointing out white supremacy, and that's an Anglo-sized type of thing. And I'm like, well, it affects us too. And for some reason, I don't know why, but most Latin people have this narrative that white supremacy is only a black problem. Why do you think that is?
I think that Latinos, and not all of them, obviously, especially the ones that like migrate over here, they have like a lot of trauma from their countries and from whatever like governance they came from, because I think that in a lot of our Latin American countries, it was good to be of lighter skinned. So I think they have a perception that because, and again, not all Latinos, and let me put this out there because then you have Latinos coming out, da, 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 da. Not all Latinos think like this. But yeah, they come here and they migrate, and then they feel like because they've been mixed with white, maybe more than like people here in America, that because they're closer to white, then white supremacy, I guess, is not their problem. Like it's only a problem for African American blacks here. And that's what I think it is. And I feel like, especially like I'm Dominican, right? So you know the history with Trujillo and stuff like that. So like I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It's also, it's funny how you pointed that out. I even had a certain group of people who don't who debate me on this whole Black and Latin unity, right? They're like, how do you want Black and Latin unity if you Dominicans treat Haitians like crap or back in your home country? So I said, in your theory, because the majority of Dominicans are Black, in your theory, are you saying Black people could be racist against other Black people? And stop it. Okay, sorry. So when I said that, he was like, well, Blacks can't be racist. I'm like, well, then there you go. So what are we talking about? And it was just me to troll just a little bit because it was a stupid ass question. You know what I mean? It's like me asking, do you blame what's happening for the Black people that's doing whatever they're doing in Chicago? Do you blame them? Do you blame all Black people and all that? It's like me asking that stupid question. It's stupid, but now let me ask you: Do you believe that Black people can be racist?
I don't think that is even possible, because racism is something that is structural.
Yeah.
Right. That's like saying like white people are oppressed here in America.
Yeah.
They're not oppressed here in America, right? You don't go through the same discriminations as a Latino or a Black person or a Asian person. No, the system wasn't built to be racist towards white people. The system was built to be racist towards anybody who was not white and like purely Anglo-Saxon white, right? And throughout history, the levels has shifted a little bit, but not even that much.
Yeah.
Right. So no, Black people and even Hispanic people, we cannot be racist towards one another. What we do is that we are prejudiced to one another, right? Racism is embedded in our systems, in our justice systems, in our medical systems, in the way we like allow people to buy homes, or in the way we allow people to rent houses and apartments, in our education system. Just like that is racism. And
go ahead.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
I was introduced to this new term called Intra-Racism. Apparently, this is what the person explained it to me. Okay, so let me just break it down. This is what I understood from it. Intra-racism is racism that happens in the Asian, Black, Latin community within each other. So like colorism, whatever. So do you think that's a thing? Because I was like kind of like, huh?
It's interesting that you're even saying that term. I've never heard that term, but I was just thinking about like, what is it called when we like discriminate against each other? I normally say it's just your internalized racism being like portrayed, or like you're putting that on people, right? Your self-hate, whatever it is that you hate about yourself,
you're projecting it amongst everybody. Yeah.
And I don't know what's the word I guess
Yeah.
the verb to describe that.
Yeah.
Maybe intra-racism
Yeah, I
could
would,
be
I
it.
would, yeah, I was super confused. I'm like, excuse me, huh? What? And then, he explained it. He said, well, it's, boom, 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 boom. What do you think about that? I'm like, that's very interesting. I never heard about it before, but
I
I guess.
I think that when you have internalized racism and you're putting it onto other people, and
In your group, right?
yeah, in your group, it's kind of like you're like, for example, like the whole like mejorar la raza by marrying lighter, like
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
that mentality, it perpetrates white supremacy. So that is racist. Like to me,
yeah.
that's like you're just upholding racism, even though like technically you can't be racist, but you're upholding the system, right? So
You becoming like a puppet for them.
yes,
Yeah, yeah, by using and practicing
a
their
coon.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're becoming a coon by practicing their ideologies and practicing their belief system
Yeah,
and opposing that to other people in your group. No, you're right. So
and
will we say that's inter-racism? Is that a that's a yeah?
yes,
Okay. All
yes,
right.
because you're putting your own people down and yourself.
Oh, there we go. We just learned a new word, people.
Mhm.
Inter-racism. I just learned it a couple of days ago. So, you know,
And I want to also like make it clear that I don't think there's anything wrong with lighter skinned and darker skinned people getting together, right? There's nothing wrong with that when there's genuine love, when people genuinely fall in love. I think that that's beautiful. But I think that is weird when people are like, oh, yeah, I want to marry a light skinned guy because I want my babies to come out light. Like to me, that's weird. And
uh,
that is tied to, again, that intra-racism, hating yourself.
yeah,
Like, why don't you just like the person because they're a person,
yeah,
not because you
yeah.
want your children to be a certain color?
Exactly,
That
exactly.
is that is like
Li- Listen,
traumatized
I heard it.
mentality.
I heard it in some of my family. I heard that in some of my family. I'm not gonna lie. I heard it in some of my family. I heard it in some of my female friends. And it's so happens to be the darker ones saying that, which is kind of weird because it's funny because they will either say that or say, oh, if me you have babies they will come out cute, and I'm like, huh, what? You know what I mean? That always
Yeah.
threw me for a loop. I'm like,
Yep.
okay, I guess. But so now let me get into it. You said something in the chat which set everybody off. They were like, oh, this is the reason why you think the way you think. You which was kind of dumb why they would even say that. But you said that you had a wife and you're married, right? So being in a would it be safe to say gay relationship? Is that
I like same sex,
Okay,
queer.
same sex. Okay, so same sex. Listen, I really don't know what the terminologies
I mean,
are
I
right
mean, I
now.
guess you can
So
say gay. I don't want to go
okay,
gay
so
either. Yeah.
being in a same sex relationship and being a Latina, did you find it hard to even tell your family or how did that exchange happen? And growing up, obviously, I know that you cannot turn, you cannot turn either gay or lesbian. You can't turn. That's something that you're born with. This is something I believe in,
Yeah.
that you're born with. But how did that exchange happen? Growing up, how was that? Dealing with it or whatever the case is. How was that with you?
Well, I was raised by my white passing grandmother.
That's
Yeah.
what it is. No, let me stop.
Yeah.
Let me stop.
Nah, I was raised by my grandmother. My mom, um she went through a lot, but she's brown, right? And she didn't come here until she was 12, so my grandma left her. Um
Yeah, which happens. It
yeah, and
happens.
then my dad, I like to say, a victim of mass incarceration because he's
Okay.
he's a dark-skinned Dominican, and
Yeah.
he was a drug dealer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but when I came out, I was already in college, but I knew that I always loved women, and I identify as pansexual. So that's like I don't.
That's like having sex with Teflon.
No,
No,
that's
no, 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 no. I know what that. So can you explain it to the people that
so
don't know what that means?
pansexual is you don't like you love anybody. Like it's not according to like their
Yeah,
genitals
gender.
and
Yeah,
stuff. Like
gender isn't something that they that you look at. You know.
yes,
Okay, got
yeah.
it.
So um but to my grandma, when I came out to her, she just thinks I'm a lesbian because she can't understand
Yeah,
pansexuality.
no, yeah, yeah. Okay, all right.
So when I came
uh,
out, she wasn't happy. She was very upset
oh
because
Jesus.
in her eyes that's wrong.
Yeah,
She's Catholic, you
yeah, yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um but my mom and my dad were very accepting. My mom she came here when she was 12, and she grew up with all kinds of people here in New York. Well, not I'm not in New York anymore, but in New York. And my dad, he was just a very like open-minded person. He was like, listen, whatever makes you happy, Paola, I don't care. And that's it. But that was my experience. I think the hardest was with my grandmother because she raised me and I didn't want to let her down. And when she met my wife, we were dating at the time. She was like, she would call her the worst things because
Wait, she was your wife at the time?
well, she wasn't my wife at the time. She was
Oh,
my
I'm sorry.
she was
Oh,
my
yeah, I was girlfriend. Like, yeah,
yes,
yeah. Okay, got it, got it.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
She was my girlfriend at the time, and she
I
was
thought you told her. It was like, hey, by the way, we're married now. She's like,
no,
what?
no, no.
No,
She
no.
was my girlfriend, and like when I told her, like she would say the worst things ever to, like about her, and she wouldn't even tell me. She would tell like people in my family, and then my wife is like really dark. Well,
Yeah,
she's darker than me, um, so she would like use like I guess like racial slurs too, but like in Spanish to like
yeah.
talk about her, and I'm like,
Uh-oh.
I was like, listen, if I hear one more person
Yeah,
talking about my partner
yeah,
because you're talking about her, we're not going to talk no more. I'm not going to be
yeah.
part of your life because you're disrespecting me. You don't
Yeah.
have the nerves to come and tell me what you're feeling, but you want to tell the whole world.
Intra-racism.
It's like so yeah, but I think that I mean now we're married. We've been together for 9 years. We have a kid.
Mm,
So
mm.
she
Holding it
absolutely
strong. That's what I'm talking about.
she loves my wife, and she absolutely loves that. You know, we're happy and we're good. We take
Yeah,
care of each other,
that's
which
what's
was
up.
what matters the most. So
That's what's up. That's what's
yeah,
up. And I think it's a beautiful thing, just knowing who you really are
hmm
and knowing what what is true about yourself, living your truth. That's what it is, right? Living your truth. I
yeah,
think that's the most important thing because when my cousin came out, my aunt, his mother, she said, "Oh, ay, Dios mío, oh no, why?" And I'm like, "Who cares? Who cares?" But again, super religious. She wasn't Catholic; she was a Pentecostal.
mm,
But the same thing, super religious, like bugging out or whatever the case is. But later on, she ended up like accepting it. Like, okay, cool. I'm accepting it, and it's funny because I was like, the way you're going, I'm like, the way your mom is acting right now is the way you mentally you had to deal with it.
hmm
Now she's just dealing with it knowing that you are, you know
yeah,
what I mean? And you just like, oh yeah, I'm gay, who cares, you know what I mean? And it's funny because most of the family kind of knew, you know what I'm saying, but it
hmm
wasn't really like said,
yeah,
and when he actually came out and said it, I was like, all right, cool, whatever,
yeah,
doesn't matter to me. But I was like, could you done it some other time, because we were going on vacation and we go to
yeah,
pick hotel rooms? I'm like, bro, you could have done it some other time, bro. No, but it's very interesting how certain people like get that type of news, you know what I mean? And it's still kind of crazy how people have to come out,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, that's insane to me. But go ahead.
And I just think that that's because how society is. Like we've been raised to like that's the norm. Like oh, you're a man, you're a woman, and you're together, and you two are together. Like anything outside of that
How
is
it should
taboo.
be. No, let me stop.
Anything outside of that is taboo, and I think that's hard for parents to
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, like that whole like, oh, traditional
mhm,
whatever, it's supposed to be a man and a woman,
yeah,
nothing else. Like I'm like, no, humans are more complicated than that, you know what I mean? But it was just a little weird because how the whole not the whole room, it was only was it what, three of them were
mhm,
bugging out, oh, this is the reason why you think the way you think. And it's funny because there are some same-sex couples who think the way they think, and
yeah,
you know what I mean, just because you think the way you think doesn't mean because that's the reason why, because you're gay or whatever the case is. It's
mhm,
stupid, you know
yeah,
what I'm saying? So I want to go into the words now, the
yeah.
words that got them a little triggered. So you said mansplaining, right? And for some reason, I saw three of them go like, oh, they couldn't hold it, they couldn't calm down. So first of all, why you think that word alone is triggering for them? And for those who don't know what mansplaining is, can you explain what it is?
It's when a man tries to explain a woman's thoughts for her,
So
or
what she's trying to say is, if no, let me stop. Go ahead. No.
exactly, thank you. And I think that when I use that word, for them, it's like testing their masculinity, like their machismo.
I feel like you did that on purpose, though.
I didn't do it on purpose.
Really?
I literally got onto that live because I'm like, I'm watching it. I'm in
Yeah.
bed, mind you. I'm in bed. My wife is asleep.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, yo, all these guys up in this live just
Uh-huh.
mansplaining, just talking about everything from their man perspective. I'm like, let me get on here and put my 2 cents. That's what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
said.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But no, I think they just don't like that a woman is telling them something about themselves, and that really bugs them.
The reason why I say I think you did that on purpose is because I don't think you knew the reaction you was gonna get. Is that the fact that you was gonna put them in their place? And I'm like, oh wait, she probably did that tactfully. You know what I mean? Like very like she plotted this. You know what I mean?
I didn't. Honestly, I didn't. It was all like off the whim.
Yeah. It was weird just watching them just like bug out, like, oh my god, you said mansplaining. Well, and just started bugging out and stuff like that. But okay, so why do you think you already said it, testing their masculinity, right?
Hmm. Yes. And I think that a part of the way that they think, right, this like romanticizing the European history comes from like, oh, well, I look more like this European ruler that made this all happen. And he was a man. And yes, man have power. And it's like, they don't want to let it go. They don't want to let it go to make things an even playing field, right? Here and across the world, because I believe, and I know, and if you look up data, like there's a disparity between women and men when it comes to pay. Whether we like it or
That's
not,
true.
it
That's
is
true.
what it is, right? Even across the world, there's a disparity with women and with girls and boys and education. And it's 2020.
Wait, really? For real?
Yes, you can still
Oh, I
go
didn't
to
know
these
that.
to these other third world countries where some girls can't go to school, or they pull them out of school because they gotta go get married.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah.
like, you need to calm down,
Hmm.
bring your small dick energy down. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And just listen.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt like that he felt that you were attacking that personally. You know what I mean? He felt personally attacked when you said that, and also when you called him white passing.
Is because you don't want to recognize the privilege that you have in this
Yeah.
society. Because I've gotten called white passing before, especially if my hair is straight.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but it happened.
Yeah.
I don't get offended. That
Yeah.
just says that I'm a lighter skinned person that privileges from light skin privilege.
Now let me ask you something, because this is something I said and a lot of Latin people jumped down my throat, but I still stand by it. God damn it! I said that even a darker skinned Latina walks into a room, they see that she's black, right? Once she starts speaking or says that she is not black, she is actually exotic black. I'm gonna just say exotic black, right? She's Latina. That is a certain privilege, because people in the room would change their opinions and change their attitude based on just that. Oh no, she's not black, she's something else. You know what I mean? Do you believe that that is the case?
Yes, I do think that's the case. I feel like a lot of men find it, I guess, exotic that there's like, I guess, a darker skinned women who speak Spanish, but might have features that are not, I guess, as and I don't even want to say African, because Africans have all types of features, but I guess like with thicker nose or thicker lips, right? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that that's a fetish that people have,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's really real. And it does
Yeah.
happen, and it does give me as a Latina, a darker skinned Latina, or a
Yeah.
light skin, whatever you want to consider me, right? It does give me some type
Some
of
privilege.
privilege.
Yeah.
Um, um, when you compare me to my African American counterparts, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's actually yeah, that's absolutely true. So,
Hmm.
and when I said that, they're like, "How do Latin people got privilege?" I'm like, "Well, you gotta see it. It's in a spectrum of things. You know what I
Oh yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
like black people, black Americans, they have let's say zero privilege. Let's just say zero privilege. But when you're a black American man,
Mhm.
1% maybe. And if you're an African immigrant, okay, you got 3% of you know what I mean? Is in the spectrum. And then Latin people are just above that bracket, and the privilege goes on. And this is all based on white supremacy. And a lot of people were like, no, this is some BS. This is not true. You know what I mean?
So that's why I use the word intersectionality, because intersectionality is when you have two or more identities in your life that affect the kind of discrimination and um, disadvantages that you're going to have in your life, right? And not everybody, like not all Latinos are the same, right? You have white ass Latinos, light passing Latinos, light skinned Latinos, and dark Latinos. You have Asian Latinos, right? And not all those Latinos are going to have the same experience. And also, we don't all live in the same place. So, like, if you live in New York, your experience is going to be very different if you live in California or in Texas, right? So, that's what intersectionality is. And I know that, like, he got mad when I said that, but words, language is something that is ever evolving. And
Yeah.
we, we, everybody has created words, right? So that we can express ourselves and talk about certain things that are happening, right? So, intersectionality was a word that was coined by a Black American here in America. So
Yeah.
so that we can talk about injustices. So how is that Anglo-Saxon
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
white
Yeah.
supremacist? Like,
Yeah. Well, I do see his point, just a small part where certain things that we make up white supremacy could use as a tool. You know what I'm saying? To basically you like go against us. Like I do see his point, but I don't see how intersectionality is that, you know what I'm saying, is that
yeah.
type of tool. Even though like I had strong opinions about intersectionality in the past,
Hmm.
which I was educated on. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm retracting my statements, because I really truly didn't understand intersectionality the way it's supposed to be, portrayed now. Now, I want to go into the whole Latinx thing, right? I did an episode saying that I don't like the fact that Latin people in the media and in some mouths of politicians are referring to the whole Latin community in America as Latinx, because we're not Latinx by definition. Latinx is people who don't identify with gender, and also some feminist Latin people who don't want to use the gender-based Latino, Latina. Those are the only two groups of people that would like to use that and should be identified as that, not the whole group. I said that there was actually I had one person really go crazy on me, going like, that's not, you should, so can we let's speak about that. Do you think that my definition and my breakdown just now, the little small part, do you think that makes any sense? Do you agree, disagree, what?
I mean, I think that everybody's allowed to pick what they want to identify with. Like, I don't know. I use Latinx, Latino, Latina interchangeably sometimes. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm not mad that politicians are using it, I guess, to describe all of us, but I do get where you're coming from. I guess it's like putting a label on you without you really deciding that that's your label.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I think, like, I don't think that nobody should be able to decide your label. I think you should be able to decide your own.
Yeah.
But I think that they see it as, and I'm just making my own conclusions. They're probably seeing it as they want to be like all inclusive, not knowing that some Latinos don't identify with that term. That's all I could think of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm pretty sure you know why I use it, right?
No, of course. Well, it would make sense why you would use it, and I should identify you, and people should identify you as, Paola, the Latinx. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, but I wouldn't get mad if somebody said Latina.
Yeah, of course.
And I know in Latin America they use Latine with an E at the end,
which is something new. Somebody just put me onto, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Can you break down what that means, and who came up with it, or if you know?
I don't know who came up with it, but all I know is that they are saying that the X doesn't really translate well in Latin America because people mostly speak Spanish over there. So that's why they feel like the E at the end is more appropriate for the language.
Yeah, that is true, because it'll sound like a superhero over there, like Latinx. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds like, what, you guys are part of the X-Men? What's going on? That's funny.
Yeah, so I don't like. I think that labels are good and serve a purpose for right now, especially because of everything that's going on in the world. But I think that as the world becomes more united, and hopefully, I like to be, optimistic, but as people become more united and there's less discrimination, we can start to drop the labels and just be humans one day, right? But until then, we need to hold on to our labels so that we can describe what it is that's going on in this world, because without them, we can't really talk about the injustices and make the differences that we need.
Yeah. Now, okay, let me ask you. I'll probably know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. And the reason why I'm asking you is because I want to lead this up to something else.
Okay.
Do you believe in Black and Latin unity?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
Do you think that it's strong now or it's weak now?
I don't know. I don't really know, to be honest with you. I can't really
gauge it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't.
How do you feel about what is your thought on to make it stronger, or whatever the case is? What do you think it should happen?
First and foremost, I think that our Latinos, they need to come to terms with our history. They need to go to therapy. A lot of them need to go to therapy.
No, we don't. No. Yeah, we do.
No, they have to, because I feel like that's why you see a lot of people like saying, "Oh, what happened to you? Whatever racist stuff happened to you, it doesn't matter. We're all Latinos." We're all Latinos.
No, that's wrong though. Yeah.
And that's from their own trauma, right? And they
Yeah.
don't want to acknowledge their own trauma and see how they're passing it on to their own children, right?
Mm.
So I think that we need to recognize our history, go to counseling, get help. And also the Black community here as well. Like there are some African Americans here that they have a lot of self-hate too. I'm not going to say that is more than in the Latin community. And I can't even compare. I don't really know. But I know that there's African Americans that have self-hate, right? And that they hate towards their own community too. And that they impose their internalized racism onto their own people. What we called it? What was the word?
Inter-racism?
Inter-racism in their own community.
Yeah.
So I think, they have to do that as well. And I think that the more and more people do that, there can be more unity, because I think that what unites us is the struggles that we went through. And because we all have similar struggles, right, in our history. And yeah, maybe in Latin America, it ended quicker, but it still happened, and it doesn't make it any better, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of healing has to come before there can be like this true unity, right?
Yeah.
So
There was a certain debate that I broke down recently on my YouTube. It was a Tariq Nasheed with this Puerto Rican lady or whatever the case is, and I broke it down. And people like Tariq Nasheed and certain Black folks say that we don't need to unite with Latin people. We have no friends. We need to be on our own. Latin people never benefited or gave us anything historically whatsoever, which is a lie, but whatever. And we should do our own thing or whatever the case is. What do you got to say about those type of like statements that certain people actually believe?
I mean, I think that's the same mentality that like the Latinos have here, where they're like, oh, like some Latinos are gonna have, and they're like, no, we don't need unity. We're different than them. We're different. Like,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if we stand divided, we're gonna fall.
Yeah.
Because, like I said before, those people at the top don't care. They're standing together, and they're laughing at us crumble.
Yeah. I totally agree.
And to me, is like this whole like, oh, let's be separated. Like that's a primitive way of thinking. That's a very old way of thinking. Like, when are we gonna move past this? Like, oh, I'm different from you because my family came from over
that's
there.
true.
Like,
that's true.
what?
That's true.
We all live on this earth. It's one earth.
That's true. That's true. That's 100% true. Yeah, you're right. What are your thoughts on certain Latin people classifying as white?
I think that it is very important that we allow people to identify as like a white Latino or a Black Latino, because especially when you're like applying to a job or applying to college, because those labels allow people to look at how we are like hiring or admitting people into schools. So I think especially for Latinos, it's funny because I did this it was like a discussion with a company in Florida online too, and they were saying that this is a company full of Latinos, and we have hardly any Afro-Latinos. So simply putting that you're a Black Latino can inform a company how you're probably being racist as a company, because you only have lighter skinned Latinos, right? But if you don't have that data, then how are we gonna talk about it? How are we gonna, fight for it?
What about the darker skinned Latinos identifying as white?
I don't know. You need help.
Well, well said. What are your thoughts on Latin people actually being their own race.
It can't be. And that goes back to, if we act like we're one race, we forget about the marginalized people.
Like,
For example, in Honduras, like we were talking about before, the Garifuna people, right? And the indigenous people of Mexico, and the Black population of Mexico, who just was recognized like 5 years ago. Like
but
those people,
wouldn't those people be in that same label too?
they're Mexican, but they're Black Mexicans. And because they weren't recognized in the census, they weren't they just were able to now get funding for healthcare and education, like a whole group of people in a country.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I think it is, I think we can't say, like, we could say we're Latinos, but that's our culture. That's not our race. That's not our race.
the reason why I feel like we should be our own race, and I'm talking about just here in America, not, not in Mexico or whatever. That's, you know what I mean? That's something else. I'm talking about here in America. The reason why I feel like we should be, or come to a discussion to make our own race, or have, the name of our own race or whatever, is because each identifier comes with a sense of colonization. Latino, Latina, same thing that was given to us by the colonizers. Hispanic, the same thing. Hispano, the same thing. Spanish, the same thing. Latinx is still closely associated with Latin. Latinx is still. So I feel like we need to have our own identifier outside of the influence of white supremacy. That's one reason. The second reason is because politically we've been forgotten. Politically, we've been in this weird gray area where we're not classified as a race. So literally, we could leave that race box blank and people would just say, okay, he's white, 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 white. So I feel like politically we are a super, forgotten, invisible class here in America. Because when politicians want to talk about our needs, they say immigration rights. Last time I checked, immigration isn't a Latin specific issue, So that's the reason why I say we do need our own race in America, own race identifier, and we should come up with our own race. That's how I think. Do you still disagree with that?
Yeah, because I feel like the whole
No, but
concept.
you're wrong. No, let me start.
No,
Go
I
ahead. Go
don't.
ahead.
I don't think you're. I don't think you're wrong, and I get your whole idea. I get your whole idea. It's like giving us more of a voice, right? And being more recognized.
Yes.
And
Yes.
because our issues are different than African Americans
Yes.
or
Yes. In
Asian
certain
Americans.
point. In certain parts. Yeah.
In certain parts, right? But I just feel like the whole the concept of giving ourselves a title or a box, that whole mindset is a colonizer mindset. So in my eyes, I kind of feel like if we add in another one, another box, it's just another way to separate us, right? I think that for me, I identify as a Black Latina. I'm always going to be a Latina. The fact that I label myself as a Latina as my ethnicity, right?
Yeah.
Still unites me to my Latinos, but the fact that I say I'm a Black Latina also tells you about my experience and my struggle here in America. Maybe it wouldn't be the same if I was in DR, right? Because it's a different system of identification. But I don't think that it's a good idea to make another one. I think that Latinos should start identifying with a certain race that we already have. So they have white or American Indian or Black. I think we should start identifying with those. And some Latinos think that that's separating, but I don't think it's separating. It just allows us to tell our stories and our struggles and our triumphs, right?
Gotcha.
From our point of view. I don't think that picking a label separates us, because at the end of the day, we all have the Latinidad that unites us too, right?
Mm.
It's not the same, like it's similar to African Americans, right? But it's not the same, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's similar but not the same.
yeah. With some differences in there. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
like that's how I see it.
Yeah. So what I heard from your explanation was that I'm right. No, no, no. No, no. It does. So let me just ask. What do you think unites Latin people? Because in that stream, they were talking about the fact that you're Spaniard. Oh, you got Spanish blood. That unites everybody, which makes no sense because you have some Latin people who don't have no Spanish blood in them, who have African and native blood and they're still Latin. There's people who don't have African blood, but they got native and Spanish blood. You know what I mean? So
Mhm,
that means that they're inclusion because they have more Spanish blood. That makes them better than the other. You know what I mean? To me, that makes no sense. And the reason why I say that is because recently, because I'm on this whole Black and Latin unity thing, right?
mhm,
A lot of my trolls like to send me little like articles of Black people attacking Latin people as a way to say, see, this is the reason why we shouldn't unite or all this other bullshit. You know what I mean? Like I can't find the same articles of Latin people attacking Black people. You know what I mean? Which makes no type of sense, right? But the funny thing is, this recent one where this Spaniard that is Colombian got attacked in Miami.
mhm,
Um, they were like, "You see this and this and this," and my response is, "Well, she's not Latina; she's a Spaniard." When you go into some of the articles, I think one or two say that the the woman, they say her name came from Spain, moved to Colombia, and stayed into Colombia, and then she moved to Miami. You know what I mean? So technically, she's not Latina.
mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So this is what I was saying. Well, she's a Spaniard, not Latina. That's white people's problem. We got nothing to do with it. And people went crazy. Oh my God, he's a communist. This dude is this guy is that. And the thing is, I'm like, okay, so and their whole thing is because one, they were trying to change the narrative, saying, oh, because she's white, she's not Latina. I said, I never said that. The fact that she's a Spaniard not doesn't make her Latina, and they went into that does make her Latina. So I'm like, okay, so the Black guy that beat her makes him a Latino too because he's Black, right? And that whole they couldn't comprehend that was like, do not compute, you know. So that's why I kept on saying the question, what makes a Latin person a Latin person? The fact that we mixed, or the fact that we got Spanish blood in us? You know what I mean? And that, to them, they were going crazy. But anyway, now I'm gonna ask. There was a long explanation, but I'm gonna ask you now. Oh, what, in your opinion, what makes Latin people Latin people?
Honestly, I feel like our history, and I feel like our mixture, like the fact that we are mixed. Um,
Yeah,
and yeah, I know some of us like have like like probably like 1% African and like 2% or 1% indigenous, and
yeah,
there's some that don't even have at all, right?
yeah, 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 yeah,
But at the end of the day, I think that even those people that might not, like, probably they came to Latin America and they lived in Latin America, right? And they were in the culture, right? And let's say they married another person that also migrated from Spain, right? But they lived there and they assimilated to the culture. Um, I feel like that would make them, right, Latin. Um, but they're still Spanish as well. And I feel like that goes back to like a person deciding their own identity.
yeah.
Um, but I think that if it's so easy for people to be like, oh yeah, they can be Latin, then and they're light and white, then it should be just as easy if it's like a black person too. Like it shouldn't be like you shouldn't be gatekeeping Latini that only for light people and not like
Yeah,
dark
yeah,
people. And that goes back to like your internalized racism,
yeah, yeah. Intra-racism. Yeah,
intra-racism,
yeah,
you know. Um, I don't know, because like you could start thinking about it here. Like I was born my mom and my dad both are from the Dominican Republic. They were born and raised there. And my grandma was obviously born and raised there too, right?
yeah, yeah.
So I'm still considered a Latina, but now is my son considered a Latino?
I guess so. Will be. I'll say half.
Is like I don't
I'll say half.
I
You know what
don't
I
know.
mean?
Like I mean, I don't want to say it's like tied to Spanish, but my kid does speak Spanish.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah. But that's our language that we didn't have no say in it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
We just so happened to speak it because it was forced, right? So
yeah.
I would say that that's something that kind of like unites us too because we all understand that one language. You know?
Yeah, but then again, there is like some Latinos like like me, like born like me, that don't speak Spanish, right?
Yeah,
They're first generation Americans that they don't speak Spanish, but when they go home, they eat pernil and freaking con brie or moro, right? And
yeah,
like
yeah.
maduros and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I
And
don't think speaking Spanish I just said that was like somewhat of a of a language unifier, but
yeah,
I don't think speaking Spanish excludes you or includes you into the whole, you know what I mean? Because Spaniards speak Spanish.
hmm
I don't want them in this conversation, you know?
hmm but I think it's honestly, I would say it's more of our like history, right?
Yeah,
And our ancestors. I think that that is what
that
unites
unites us.
us,
I
because
think so too.
it honestly,
In the
if
culture, yeah.
if they weren't mentally strong enough to be going under, what is it that I call it, um
I don't know you. There you go.
Stockholm syndrome, because that's why women were marrying these men,
Yeah,
because they were like,
yeah.
well, he's my master, he's my savior. And again, we, like you said, not all of them did this, right? But a
Yeah,
good majority of them did,
yeah,
because they
yeah,
wanted to survive.
yeah, yeah. No, you're
They
right.
wanted to survive, they wanted to live.
You're right.
So,
Yeah, you're right.
and I think that that is the strength, and that is the history that we should, um, first of all, start to learn, acknowledge. And I'm not saying we need to forget about our Spanish history, because we literally been taught that all our lives. Like we have a whole day here in America to celebrate our conqueror. Like,
Yeah,
and yeah,
yeah,
I know they don't celebrate that in the Dominican Republic, or
yeah,
probably in other parts of Latin America, but they still, cherish their white history a lot.
yeah, yeah. No, that's absolutely true. I do agree with you on that in
Yeah.
that aspect of it. We're gonna start wrapping it up now. Just a few more more questions. When did you decide to start a YouTube channel and why?
Um, I started my channel like maybe like 3 years ago, and I decided that I wanted to name it Afro-Latinx, because I just felt like there wasn't enough like Afro-Latinx people or Latinas, um, just sharing their voice, right? And their experience
That's true.
on what
That's
it
true.
is to be a Afro Latina, a Black Latina, right?
That's true. It's a very
Um,
small group that actually is part of the larger group, but small group that with voices. You're right.
yeah, so that's one of the main reasons why I decided to do it.
And what kind of what's the content that you basically speak on that on your YouTube channel?
I like to focus it around like I said, my Afro experience in the Latino community, right? Like little things that you're like, oh, this is pretty racist, right? I also just like to talk about like different like Afro Latinos experiences as well. So not just mine, but like
Yeah.
Cubans and people that are Afro.
Yeah. Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. Also, I'm gonna link her YouTube channel down in the link down below in the description. Um, so before we get out of here, can you give the people some words of wisdom, some affirmations, some ashes, anything you want to give that's coming from the heart, coming from you, something positive that they will leave out of this conversation.
Well, I to all my Latinos, um, I think we need to stop fighting with one another. I think we need to listen more, try to understand, try to empathize more, um, because that's the only way that we are really going to create unity, right? And change in America and across the world. Without unity, we can't change anything. So yes, more listening and more empathizing. And we need to be more careful with the words that we're using, right? And how we're talking to each other, how we're talking to our children as well. They're our future. And when we are, using language that is detrimental to the mental health of our children, then you have these adults that grow up and have this self-hate, intra-racism towards their own people. So yeah, listen more, be more empathetic, and be very cautious with the words that you are using and decide to speak to the world. So
All right, so that was the episode with me and Paola, aka Afro-Latinx. Remember, all her details are down below. All her details are down below. Her Instagram and YouTube channel, all of that is down below. I hope you guys enjoyed the information that she gave. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. I hope you guys enjoyed the whole episode. Remember, recommend it to your friends, family, cousins, side girls, side dudes, wives, husbands, boyfriends, girlfriends, all that. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you recommend this podcast to them. If you want to donate and support your boy, Cash App $Radical Latino, or go to my website, radicallatino.com. There's a donate tab. Go there. You can't do it monetarily. Go to YouTube. I'm monetized and it's totally fine. Just watch this on YouTube a few times, multiple times, or leave it running on your computer on the loop. Go right ahead. I'm monetizing. I get a cut from that. Or just rate me 5 stars. You know what I'm saying? That always helps. With that being said, remember, hit me up on Instagram and Twitter at the same name, radical_Latino_. And as I always leave out, I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. And I'm gonna catch y'all later, right?